cutting, let me go over the basics of the anatomy of a card. Here is the card that we are going to make, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But basically, you would have a card base, which is the white piece right here. This is the base of your card, the part that opens up. And then you will have the card layers, and on this one, the card layer is this blue piece, which is 1/4 of an inch. It has 1/4 of an inch frame around it. You could also add another card layer on top of it, and I'll go over the measurements in a little bit so you can make them at home. You will also have the focal point, and here it'll be this piece right here, and also some of this here. Basically, it might have a sentiment. Like this one, the focal point is this circle that says "so sweet of you." And this one, it would be the happy birthday. You will also have a sentiment on your card. This one says happy birthday, of course. And sometimes you might have inside sentiments. So you can add a sentiment inside if you're one of those people that don't know what to write in cards. I know especially hard for sympathy cards. You can put in a sentiment inside to take up some space, make it look a little bit more professional looking, and maybe give like a little bit of cheeky comment in there, maybe a pun or a joke or something. And of course, you also need an envelope. Cards go with envelopes. It's like peas and carrots. Unless you are sticking this in like a present or something, it needs an envelope to mail, to keep nice and clean. This is an A2 size card. You can get A2 size envelopes anywhere. This one is from Stampin' Up. I love Stampin' Up if you couldn't tell, but I love Stampin' Up. But you can get these at like even Office Depot or Walmart, or I think they're under the office supplies in like the invitation type envelope section. So just make sure that those go together and you'll be good. So let's talk about card layer measurements. Now, the typical card is A2 size, which is 5.5 inches by 4.25 inches. And in order to do that, it's so super easy. All you do is you take a regular piece of cardstock. This is 8.5 by 11, just regular size cardstock. And then you're going to line it up on your trimmer to 5.5, which is exactly in half. And then you're going to cut it. And then you will get 2 pieces the same size, which means you get 2 card bases. If you fold this directly in half, you'll get what you need. Just like that. Super easy. Now to make a layer, you would just need to do 1/4 of an inch in. So I'm going to make my layer. I'm going to take this blue colored cardstock, and I am going to cut it at 5.25 by 4. So that's 1/4 of an inch smaller than our card base. And that will layer right on top of the white, just like that. Easy. And then you'll get 4 of them per sheet of cardstock. Now, if you wanted to get fancier, you can do a second card layer. So if you wanted to do another card layer on top of the blue, you would take your piece and do 1/4 of an inch smaller than that one. So that would be at 3.75 by 5. And that will give you the layer right on top. So it's like, it makes a really good frame. And you could even add more on top of this using 1/4 of an inch increments, or you could change the increments to 1/8 of an inch or 1/2 an inch, but the norm would be 1/4 of an inch. And so that's why I'm showing you today. So the final thing we're going to learn today is about embellishments. And embellishments can be anything. It can be a cutout or and a sentiment for a card. It could be ribbon or cardstock or photos or buttons or twine. And what you're going to do is you're going to lay it out so it looks good to you on your